Some stories demand to be told twice, not because we didn't hear them the first time, but because the truth is too big for one sitting. I'm Andrew White, and this is part 2 of Gavin Patterson's story. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, go back, start there, because what we're about to unpack today only makes sense when you understand the hell Gavin walked through. Yesterday, we explored the toxic workplace that broke him. Today, we're going deeper into the mental battlefield that followed, the PTSD, the anxiety, the depression, the daily dread that made simply existing feel impossible. Gavin will share the mask he wore, the despair he faced, and the breaking point that forced him to choose. Give up or a reason to fight back. This is why we do this. This is leading our own way. Here's part 2 with Gav. Please subscribe. Enjoy the episode. Why do you think they ignored you then?
Because I was trying to set the standard that it should have been. And it wasn't a difficult standard. It was, all right, this is what we need to be doing for these reasons. It's not about you being a fancy rifle person on the course. You will be showing the students how to use these rifles in the best possible way.
Yeah.
You will look better as an instructor if you have awesome results with your students and they get their skills squared away. So, but no, it was a bit of ego on their part kicked in because they're going, we can do what we want because this sergeant over here says so.
So did you ever talk about your frustrations to people high, who were maybe your leaders? Did you ever go to them and explain what was going on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
so in amongst all of that, there was one senior sergeant at the start who came to our office. He was on the project team. That was his main role, trying to source the right rifle for us. Mm-hmm. But he could see that we needed that senior sergeant rank there, so he came on board for a little while. But even he got treated so poorly that I won't say it, but the project lead positioned herself structure-wise above him, which they were meant to be equal. Yeah. And she sent a text message off. It was meant to be to her friend, but he received it. And it was not very nice, basically calling him a liar. So he's gone, well, that's it for me, I'm out. So he left. So then we didn't have a senior sergeant for a while.
All on you.
All
on you.
For at least 2 months early on, it was on me. I was it. So I was doing a role of 3 sergeants and then partly a senior sergeant as well. So then, we got another senior sergeant in for a little bit, but he was just there to sit in the seat. And I nicknamed that seat now the poison chalice. Yeah. Whoever sat in it weren't there long.
God, that sounds crazy.
So, but then they got someone in. So then the powers that be said, okay, we'll get someone in to get this back on track. And he'd done it before at another workplace, but good intentions were starting to get things happening. 2 or 3 times I spoke to him about what was going on at ground level that he may not have seen or heard, just to fill him in. And then with my concerns about me and leave it with me, I'll deal with it, and never got dealt with. It was either forgotten or brushed over. Spoke to the unit manager as well, thinking, well, if I go straight to there, but same deal. I think her intention and motivation for that position wasn't. She didn't have our best interest at heart. I think it was more along the lines of trying to feather her nest to get a promotion to say, look how good I've done with this unit.
Because that person wasn't a trained police officer in any form, were they?
Pardon?
Was that lady who was in charge, who was, put herself above but was level, was supposed to be level? Was she actually a police officer, or was it she brought in externally?
No, she was a public servant.
Yeah.
So she was originally part of the project team. So the project team were to get to get the basic structure of what the project needed to be. Okay, how many people we're going to need to train? Where are they going to be trained in? The rifle itself, the ammunition, all of that. So that was their role. The actual training package, we were the training unit as such. So that was our part of it. She just happened to, and I don't know how it happened. It was just one of those things that sometimes it just happens, and you go, why and how?
Yeah.
She ended up in charge of the unit.
Blows my mind. That's like somebody running the Department of Education who's not been in the classroom for 30 years. It's the same thing, but different. I mean, it happens all the time. So I'm not actually surprised this happened to you guys.
Yep. Which is why, for me, it got so frustrating, because I'd been at these specialist units. I'm not saying I knew better or knew everything. No, far from it. But I'd been part of specialist units where if you set things up the right way and you do things for the right reason, not just because, and have it structured, it just works so much better.
A lot of egos involved.
We weren't being listened to, so the trust we had was just shot to bits.
But my experience with this type of thing is a lot of egos at play here. Is it the same in that industry too?
Yep, very much. I think what contributed to part of the instructors or the other staff we had was the special operations group, who were the counter-terrorist guys. They were helping. They'd actually been utilising this accelerated learning for their selection courses for a couple of years. So they were actually advising us, the sergeants, as to how to introduce it and get our instructors up to speed. But I think they were relied on a little bit more and called in a little bit more. And then our instructors thought, pardon my terminology here, but everyone will understand it. Their egos got away with them, and they thought their shit didn't stink, and thought, oh, we've been trained by the SOG, so now we're like the SOG. No, guys, you're not even close.
SOG, what's that?
Special Operations Group.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my naivety when it comes to this.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's what everyone, within the police force, that's what they're called.
Yeah. How many instructors did you have underneath you then that you were training?
The 14.
And how many? Because you wanted more, didn't you?
Yeah, we wanted at least 16 instructors plus the 3 sergeants. With the roster and how we were going to run the courses, we needed the extra people to rotate through. So to account for sick leave, annual leave, and any unexpected courses and so on. Because once you start a course, we wanted the same instructors on a week course. It went from Monday to Friday. So we wanted the same instructors teaching the same students for that week for continuity. And it's all part of the cognitive learning.
Yeah, of course. And so did that number of instructors, would it be a new batch every week then? So it was a week course?
Yeah, so what would happen, we would actually rotate. So that's why we needed the 3 sergeants. So there'd be 2 on course, 1 in the office. And we weren't to be, because of the hearing with the rifles and the exposure to noise and the fumes, etc. It was no more than a week on and a week off, in the range, out of the range. So we had to rotate that. Then that got extended to 2 weeks in, 1 week out.
Oh. Why did it get changed to that?
Because they realised that we didn't have enough staff to be able to run that roster. Oh, and that was the other thing I got lumped with early on. Gavin, can you do the roster? I've never done one before.
Oh.
So I had to not only write the course and do all that, but I had to learn how to write a roster for 20 odd people.
That's a full-time job in itself, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then I was told, can you project that for 12 months? And I went, what? You want me to write a roster for 12 months? Mate, I'm not kidding. By the time I actually got it together, when I printed it up, I had to print it up in like small sections. And I went down to where the instructor's office was, and I stuck it on the wall. And I'm not kidding, in one of the big classrooms, it took up half the wall. It just went forever.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
People wouldn't be happy in 6 months' time. I'm going on holiday there.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Right,
So it's
stress.
what I call a compounding effect of, it just went on and on and on, and the pressure mounted, and
chronic stress is kicking in.
I was proud of myself that I rarely took sick days. Rarely. I think in the 10 years that I was there for my second stint, I probably, before this anyway, probably took maybe 4. But it got to a point where I went, no, I just can't handle this anymore. And went to my GP and said, I can't go back to that workplace. He said, well, okay, well, what do you want on a certificate? I said, can we put mental health? He went, yeah, sure, no problem. So my first stint off was for a 4-week block.
Yeah.
Or not 4 week, for 4 days. And then, then I had another meeting with one of the senior sergeants. He came out to see me, and I said, mate, it's the workplace affecting me. He said, leave it with me. I'll look after some things. Okay. Never did.
So did the start, because obviously that's the element part of a job where it's very stressful. I'm not saying it's right. It's very stressful, and it becomes chronic, and it starts to affect your mental health, like you just said.
Yep.
But for the toxicity in the sense of workplace bullying, was that around the same time in this unit, or is this completely separate?
No, so this was the same time. So all this was it was just a flow-on effect.
Yeah.
So it was the work itself early on for writing the courses. Hey, look, that is what it is. Like amount of work, no problem.
Yeah.
But then when the new staff were introduced, then that added more dynamic. But then it was just the dysfunction just grew.
We said, I don't know how long ago, but parts where they're just chipping away at us and didn't really know. When was the first obvious sign something didn't sit right in that intuition? Or it might not be intuition, it might be fairly obvious, it might have been right there in front of you, but what was that first sign of something that didn't sit right?
That's hard to say.
But it was things you couldn't prove as well, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep.
So I've also learnt what the actual definition is of narcissistic behaviour disorder.
I knew you were going to say that. Yep, go on then, give it to us, because I've started to study this a few years after I was bullied. I've not done it for a very long time, so it's kind of gone out of my head, but give it to us.
Yep. Because I thought, why are these people like this? I'd never struck people like this. And I thought, and it was basic. So there was a number of former Defence Force people brought on as instructors. So I thought, they'll know rank and structure and reporting and all that. But no, they were the worst. And it was just some of the things that they were saying and how they were treating. So I wasn't asking them to do anything out of the ordinary. But it was, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't have to. You can't tell me to do that. I'm going, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
It was just, it's just odd. So then I just started searching behaviours and all that sort of thing, and bang, narcissist came up. And it actually gave me a list of 10 points. And I'm going, oh, what are they? So I actually printed one off. I was very careful where I did it, so no one else saw it. And I started thinking about one particular person. I'm going, tick. Oh, tick. 9 out of 10. Look, I'm not the medical professional in that area, but when I could relate that, what I was witnessing and experiencing firsthand, they ticked 9 out of 10. I thought,
I think you only need 5 or 6 to be classed as a narcissist, don't you?
Yep.
I don't know the exact
So then I
figure.
did it for someone else, and I'm going, okay, well, they are too. And when you have more than one, what happens is the followers just tag all along. And it's like the Pied Piper. I nicknamed them the Pied Pipers because they'd play their flute and the others would just fall in line with them. So then they thought, oh, that's how you treat people. No, it's not on. So
Especially not your boss as well. You back in the day, you wouldn't have thought twice. You wouldn't. Sorry, you would think twice about speaking to somebody or saying no. Especially in the police force, right? Been given an order by your superior, and you go and do it. It's crazy.
Yep.
So these people were below you then.
Yep. This is where it gets a little bit grey, is probably the best term for it.
Yeah.
So police rank and public servant level, there's no direct correlation. So I was a sergeant, so I was here and on a pay level of police sergeant. They were VPS 4s, which meant they were technically on a rank to rank level a little bit above.
Right. Okay.
Unfortunately, when they kind of had time in their hands and they've gone and done some digging, or someone said to them, you're actually above a sergeant, I think that was a bit of a turning point for some of them. And they've gone, okay, well, we're above sergeant. We don't have to listen to sergeants. Well, the rank structure states, yes, you do.
Interesting. So some of the things that they should have gone to you about, or shouldn't have gone to you about, because you had that other lady person, should they have gone to her for, opposed to going to you for? I don't know. I'm trying to get my head into it, to the structure.
So the way it was meant to work was we'd have the senior constables or the VPS instructors. Then we'd have the sergeants, so they would report directly to us. Then there should have been a senior sergeant, then an inspector, and then her level should have been level with a senior sergeant.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. It's still
there were bits missing, which is why I say right from the start, the actual unit structure from a police rank point of view just wasn't right.
Yeah. So those things that you said you didn't recognise as bullying until it happened a few times, where was the really big obvious ones? And I know there's some things you can't maybe talk about, right? But it might not even be aligned with this part, but what was the obvious bullying that you were like, whoa, did it? Because for me, I was like, did nobody just see that? Gaslighting. Didn't even know what gaslighting was until after it happened. What type of, did you have any gaslighting scenarios?
There is one training one, which so there are two that come to mind. One was just in a more an admin kind of environment. I'll run through that one, and I'll give you the other one that was in a training environment where there were students involved. So this one was, we'd had a number of vehicles, and the vehicle had to be signed out, so we knew, one, who had it, where it was going, and roughly how long it was going to be out and when it was going to be back. And we had the keys on a board. No worries, two of them went out, came back. The public servant, we'd made a decision where their office was. We had some equipment in there that had to be moved. And when these two got back, I said, listen, we're going to move all these rifle cases out of the office and down into one of the safes. And he just looked at me and said, no, that's not what I said we're doing. I said, I beg your pardon? He said, that's not what we're doing. I said, yes, it is what we're doing. We've decided they're going to be moved out of there and down to there. Then he just turned on his heel and walked out and he said, I only have to be told once. And I went, oh, really? I said, come back. And called out 3 or 4 times. No, he just kept going. So I went, okay, I'll let that slide. But then 20 minutes later, I had to go down to that office. And I thought, well, I had to tell all the other instructors we're going to move this equipment. So I thought, no, I'll have a chat with him first. So they're all there. So there's all 13, 14 instructors in there. And I just quietly go up to him and say, just let's have a quiet chat outside. He said, no, not doing that. I said, beg your pardon? I said, I just want to talk about what just happened upstairs. And he said, no. He said, I want a witness. And he pointed to one of the other guys next to him, who I knew they were like best of buddies. I thought, okay, I'm being tested. 2, he's trying to see what will happen, and he wants to make me an example in front of all the other instructors, so he will play the victim, which is another narcissist trait. Turn the tables. So I just said to him, being an ex Defence Force person, I knew he would get this and he'd probably get upset with it. I said, you are bordering on insubordination right now. And I said, I will put it on paper if you continue this.
Okay.
He said, I said, well, how about this? I said, let's not speak about it now. But I said, I will send you a meeting request for a day and a time that we will sit down and we will speak about it. And I left it at that. Then I got all the others to help out. So,
Did you have that meeting?
No, that never eventuated because I spoke to the senior sergeant about it, said, listen, this is what happened. This is what I did. And this is where I lost trust in even him, where he turned to me and he said, oh, you probably shouldn't have gone down and spoken to him like that. I said, I beg your pardon. I said, aren't I his supervisor and don't I have the responsibility as the leader and the supervisor to do that? Yeah, so I got no support from him. He said, leave it with me, I'll sort it out. And there again, that was another one that never got sorted. To this day, still hasn't been.
Yeah, I mean, to if he wanted a witness, I suppose, I don't know how it would work there, but if he says, you could have gone, yeah, okay, but I'm having a witness too. Would there have been somebody that you could have taken in with you maybe? Would that have helped?
I could have, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the way I viewed that was, no, I'm just going to shut this down. This could get very ugly, and I don't want that to happen. So yeah, just shut it down. All right, let's take a breath. We'll do it later. Yeah.
What was the other one?
Oh, the training one. So there are certain procedures and parts of training in legislation that police, sworn police, have to abide by, and it's use of force. So our use of force must not be disproportionate to what is happening. So we can use force necessary to stop something happening. It can't be in excess. So, and that's a decision we've got to make at the time. So part of the rifle training was none of the public servants are sworn police, so they can't train any sworn police member in some of those use of force tactics. So the instruction was they can teach the skills and drills for the gun, but can't teach that scenario style of training. And it was what we call barricade shooting. So if we were behind a barricade and we had an offender out in the open somewhere, or of how to shoot around a barricade. Now, unfortunately, the use of force governed, we must, if we fire around at anyone and we see a change of shape, behaviour or demeanour, we are to stop firing straight away. So if we shoot one round and they stop and start to fall to the ground, we stop, we don't fire another round. If they keep advancing, then we make a decision, do we need to fire another one? But army mentality is keep shooting till they're not moving anymore. And he was instructing some of this. I walked in to the range at this point where I heard him say that, and I stopped the lesson straight away. I said, no. I said, stop. And I just asked the actual police students, I said, guys, what do we do if we fire around and we see a change of shape, demeanour and behaviour? They said, oh, we stop shooting. I said, that's what we'll do here as well.
Who was that guy?
Well, he was one of the former Defence Force guys that was one of our instructors.
Oh.
But he took it upon himself to go, oh no, well, that's what we're going to teach them. No, and this is what I mean. The training package was so tight that this is how we need to do it for certain reasons. But the narcissistic part of him just, no, I know better than everyone. I will train what I know and what I think is best.
Isn't that a sackable offence?
Yeah.
Did he get sacked?
Yep. So I reported all of this stuff. So, yeah.
So he did get sacked for that?
No.
Oh, wow. So I'm trying to put my mind into your mind. Your trust must be an all-time low.
Yep.
How do you carry on then? Because this is, I remember how you explained this actually. And I wrote these words down in the pre-chat, but you said this is the most dysfunctional, toxic, horrible environment ever.
Oh, yeah.
Is it because of those things, or is there something else yet that you need to explain?
Oh, that's just part of it. Like, there were so many things. There were so many individual incidents, and then you combine them all together, and it is just like, if I went through them all, we'd be here all night. But
yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, so to paint that picture then, so for those who are listening, if you could pick something out to really put the dirt, the shit into your feelings right now, and bring those horrible. I'm asking you to be vulnerable, and I'm asking you to dig deep, but to go to the worst possible, because like you say, we don't have all night to go through all those scenarios, and neither would I if I was to explain all my scenarios too. If you had to dig deep into one of the worst to make somebody feel what you went through, what would that be?
Oh, I'm going back and sort of going back on individual incidents, and because I never stopped trying.
Yeah.
I would always try and bring it back in. No, we can't do that. We've got to do it for these reasons. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. But it was always basically I was given the bird by them. It was rude. It was disrespectful. It was insubordination. It was, yeah, it was just horrific. It was just, it was like I was talking to a brick wall. And
Life
regardless
is all right.
of what I said, they would go and do their own thing.
And did you ever take this further? Was there a process followed to maybe come into this workplace and an interview, or to look really what's going on behind the walls?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And this was, by your result, I'm guessing somebody did come in, but was this off your reporting then?
Okay. Not mine, but I think it contributed to it. I think command, so we're talking officer, like high-ranking officer level now, we're hearing reports of things happening and going, really? We haven't got time for this. Why is this happening here?
Yeah.
So they then called in an independent consultant to basically find out what the internal culture was like of the work unit, just our work unit, nowhere else. And we were all interviewed individually by a representative from the company. So they came to our work location and did the interviews there, like privately. I never divulged to any of the other staff what I said in my interview, but I was hearing what a lot of them were saying, and I thought, wow, okay, that was interesting. But once all the interviews were completed, never heard the results, never knew anything came of it. Basically brushed under the rug, and nothing to see here, kind of thing. So yeah. I would love to see that report. I really would.
It's like the files that the president won't release.
Probably.
How close? So from this point of the process of the people coming in, how long until I remember you saying earlier at the beginning of the episode, your mental fracture. What was the time frame between these 2 points?
Oh, that was probably about 3 months. Because certain things were happening before that consulting company came in, and then also afterwards. Now, internal affairs, which is what we call PSC, which is Professional Standards Command. So they look at anything internally that needs to be investigated within the police force. One senior sergeant who'd come in pretty much to try and get things back on track, he reported 4 incidents to PSC. So there were 4 of those investigations on the go, and 3 of the 4 were bordering on possible criminal charges.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was within like not me, but below me rank wise. Yeah.
And how did that unfold? Was it determined as criminal charges and were they released, or was it another one that was swept under?
Two where I believe, and this was, so these were ongoing when I went, oh, I'm out, I'm done, and had my my breakdown.
Yeah.
So I had only heard later on what had happened. Two of the four were given the option: you resign, and that's the end of it. If you don't resign, we will follow through with the charges, and we'll take it to court.
Sure.
The other two, one was given an admonishment, which is it gets a mark on their record, and the other one, can't remember what happened there. I think they found, there was not enough evidence to proceed, basically. But another one reared its ugly head. I wasn't even party to it, and I'd actually been having a chat with one of the other. So there was a young guy there who was what we call upgraded from senior constable to sergeant. So he had the rank of sergeant, and he was learning. And he and I got along reasonably well. Yeah. But something happened on a day I wasn't there, and he asked me some questions about how do I handle this and what should I be doing, and I just mentored him basically. And as a result of that, that was one of the charges for the staff member. But this other guy, he got spoken to, and then I found out in a roundabout way that even I was part of the investigation because I'd given him advice in relation to what he did. I was totally exonerated, but this is how weird it got.
Yeah, wow. It got really deep, didn't it? For sure.
Yeah.
So what was the last 3 weeks? Because I know when you come to a boiling point, there's a reason why you hit the boiling point. And I know it's all those things built up over time. But what was that? I mean, you did mention it earlier, but what was the last couple of weeks before your breakdown, before your mental fracture?
Oh, look, I would wake up in the morning and the dread started, literally. My stomach would turn and I'd go, oh, I don't want to go in there. I don't even want to. How can I not go in? I just didn't even want to get in my car to even start driving there.
Did you ever throw up?
Yeah, I forced myself to get there, and quite often I'd pull up in the car park and I could see the office building from where my car park was, and I've gone, I've got to go in there. And then the brain starts ticking. Yeah, this is not nice. So I would throw up at different times. Force myself to go in there, and this is part of my learning outcome for me as well now, how I handle those sorts of situations. I would do it very, very differently, but I would force myself to go in. I would force myself to say good morning like nothing was different.
Putting that mask on, aren't you? That's where they continue to believe nothing was wrong with you as well, and that also works against you when you do have meetings or discussions. Like, no, Gaz's been fine. Like, he's been absolutely. I'm with you. Everyone thought I was fine, but nobody understood the mask that I was wearing every single day. Everything was just, I had a question for you then. If you could speak to that Gav then, what piece of advice would you give that Gav who was dreading going in that office every morning with the perspective that you have now?
Oh, I felt I'd tried everything within my abilities and my role, what I should be doing, and going above me to my superiors who should have supported me and helped me. I was trying to get out of that work unit, so I was putting in applications to go to other workplaces. I probably should have, looking at it now, way back when one sergeant said, I'm out of here, he recognised it very early. And then when the other one said, I probably can't deal with this management either, it was probably for me a red flag. I should have gone, this is not a red flag, this is like a massive red sail right now. Why? What's going on? And then start to ask myself questions. Do I want to be part of this? Should I still be here? Yeah. Just recognizing things earlier, sooner.
But you have to go through it, I suppose, to have that, to even have that perspective, right? It's like a quote that I've been reading from the book, Live Like a Lobster on this side. It's change only occurs when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of making a change.
Yep.
And it's so true. It really is. So for you, when you went through, going back to that full loop of the beginning of the episode, when you said you got your mental health assessments, what were some of the outcomes of that? What were the labels given to you from that?
Too many.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is part of my now learning of labels as well. So my first label I was given after much diagnosis and testing and all sorts of things. Well, I was told I had to go see a psychologist. I thought, no, I got this. I'll be right. After a couple of months, they went, no, you need to go see a psychologist. I went, okay. Because at this stage, it was turning into a work cover claim. Yeah. But I was diagnosed with PTSD, or CPTSD as it's called now, complex, anxiety and depression. So they were my first three labels.
Yeah.
And then a few months after that, I started to get irritated eyes. Went to the doctor again. Thought it was just conjunctivitis. Tried that. That didn't work. Then went back to get some something else, and they said, "Oh, we'll do a blood test." So that was on the afternoon on one day. I think it was a Tuesday, and then the Tuesday night, they actually pushed it through to get urgent results, and they rang me and said, "You need to come back first thing in the morning." And I'm thinking, "Oh shit." It's unusual they ring you that quick with results and say, come back tomorrow, it's urgent.
Yeah. So,
overnight I'm thinking, what's going on? Then I was told I had what they call Graves' disease. So it's a hyperactive thyroid that just goes berserk. It thinks the body's under attack from everywhere. And the hormone levels were 10 times what they should have been. Yeah. So he said, we've got to get them down. Because I also, that was the other thing that I noticed, I'd lost 5 kilos, and this was sort of in amongst the eyes happening. I lost 5 kilos in the space of 4 or 5 days as well. Oh. And that's part of the thyroid going crazy.
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't realize it. And I'm thinking, well, what causes the thyroid to do that? And then I went to an endocrinologist and another ophthalmologist for my eyes. So thyroid, eyes, and then my heart, I had palpitations. So I had a cardiologist. All three of them, we kind of came together and they said, if the body's under high stress for a long period of time, the thyroid will go, okay, we're under attack here. We need to produce more hormones and get it into the body to protect it. But it wasn't under attack. Yeah. So that's for most people, and stress is fine, and fight, flight, or freeze is a normal response to stress, but it's short-lived, and we go back to normal state.
Yeah.
For me, I was at that fight or flight for probably 2 years.
Yeah, that was chronic, isn't it? That's when it becomes chronic. It's not acute anymore. It's not the healthy eustress, what EU stress. That's not the good stress anymore. This is purely chronic stress, and it's everything's inflaming. Everything feels like it's under attack, and in a way, I suppose it is internally, isn't it? We just don't see it. It's not a physical attack on the body, and that's your body speaking to you, isn't it? It's a very deep level.
And this has headed me on that journey of learning and understanding what happened, why, and I've learned so much about. Yeah. Look, I to be honest, I really had no idea what the thyroid did. I knew where it was, but I didn't know what it actually did. And I've gone, wow, for such a little thing and where it sits, it has a huge role to play in our immune system.
It really does. Yeah. I think we've got to be teaching all this stuff, because I think we could prevent a lot of mental health decline, body health decline as well. And so you have, in the industry that you're in an unusual situation because you have access to firearms. And when somebody's, it's like a pilot, right? You have access to life-altering outcomes if you are deep down in the darkness. You could be a pilot. You could be in the police force. You could be a doctor. right, have access to all of these things. You have access to different things like firearms. Did you ever think about going down that road with this darkness that you unfortunately was going through?
While I was still at work, no.
Okay.
But when kind of my identity was taken from me and I was told, no, you can't go back to work. I had a lot of time on my hands, but a lot of time to think as well. Yeah, and it was all trying to figure out what was going on and processing it all. And I still had all my passes, so I could get into everywhere,
Wow.
which means I had access to hundreds of pistols, hundreds of rifles, hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition, all sorts of other equipment, tasers, sprays, all sorts of things. So,
Was that just a missed call, or was that just how it was?
a bit of both. I don't think they fully understood my situation or bothered to find out what my situation was, or put something in place, one, to protect me, but two, to protect everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
One word, I think, if we could cover this whole thing that's lacking here, you might agree, you might think of a better word, but for me, I've just been processing it as you were talking, but for me, this is connection.
It's what, sorry?
Connection. Connection is a missing here amongst all aspects of this space and this journey. It's just completely missing between human beings, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Did you ever contemplate going to that level of, your depression, ending your life? I mean, I had the thoughts. I wasn't at the point of doing it, but I definitely had the thoughts. Where were you at in that regard?
Yeah, look, I'm okay to talk about that now. I wasn't a while ago, but I am now. There were multiple times where I got to that, and I had plans in place.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had at least, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm prepared to be open enough with it here, and I'm not going to say what they were because I certainly don't want to give
No,
anyone any ideas.
of
But
course. Wherever you want to go with this, by the way.
yeah, look, I'm okay. I had 4 different plans at different stages. And with my training, obviously, I had different knowledge and skill sets to most. So my plans were quite detailed.
Yeah, wow. And were the plans in your head, or if somebody came across it, was it written down?
Yep. So this is part of my training. It wasn't written down.
Yeah,
Not those
yeah,
sorts of things.
yeah. Wow.
No.
Well, I'm sorry
And this is where, so me processing that on a psychological level, I even processed, okay, well, if I have this written down and something happens, then people can backtrack and see, yeah. And I thought, nah, there's not going to be any evidence here. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's how I was processing or not processing correctly at the time. But the details, they're in here. Oh yeah.
Oh, I bet. And if it was another person, they could something drastically could have gone wrong as a not just an individual with the group, right, and other people there, or even them just experience it, being a part, seeing it. Like it's such a dangerous space to be in. It's just got to be a more caring environment, doesn't it? It needs to be clearly looked at and much deeper. The prevention here is, if we go back to the interview process, if we change the interview process of hiring the right people for that role that were coming into view to train, this could have all been avoided as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and part of so before I actually left on my last day, and when was it? And part of the reason why I think that got missed, of taking my swipe cards and passes from me, was there was no senior sergeant there. We were on a training day. I remember this distinctly. We were on a training day, and he came out to visit me and have a chat about something at the shooting range, which we did. I needed to contact him later on that afternoon, and He didn't respond to the text, so I rang, no response to that. I rang again, no response. Then I find out when we get back, I got back to the office after the training day, that he's gone. He'd left. He'd had enough.
Of you in the situation, or just left the job himself?
The unit, even he was the one brought in to try and get it all back on track. Even he'd had a gutful and said, no, this is all too much for me as well. So, so there were 3 different occasions where I was the only sergeant there. There was no other sergeant, no senior sergeant. So when I actually hit my last day, there was no senior sergeant, and there wasn't for quite a while. So normally a senior sergeant would have taken care of, all right, we've got some members who are off on sick leave, etc. What do we need to do?
Yeah.
So that was totally missed, which is where the inexperience and lack of understanding of the public servant who was self-appointed in charge of the unit, she had no idea what the process and procedures were.
Yeah. So you would have been the only person able to sign off these instructions then?
Oh, I know where you're going with this. Yeah. So part of the training and qualification process is, and we had it written into the training course. The only people that could sign off on the students to say they are competent and confident and qualified to use the rifle in a normal work environment were the sergeants. So we had to sit another assessment and a course to be able to do that. So there were only 2 of us that are able to do that.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and if I didn't think someone was capable, I wouldn't sign their qualification. So we would have to get them to come back or do some extra training at the time if we had the time to do it. So
So with you out the door, then that training is continuing, I'm assuming. So somebody would have had to come in. They wouldn't be able to sign off those current instructors, so they would have had to essentially do it again. So the new sergeant would be able to sign them off in the week's time or whatever.
there was no new sergeant.
So how did that course even run?
I can categorically, I tell you. So part of my thinking of, so during that meeting where I went, no, this is enough for me. The decision had been made that we were going back to training because we'd stopped training for some safety reasons, and it was to do with hearing. And all sorts of different studies were done, etc. To cut a long story, there was quite a bit involved in that. But it got to a point where they went, no, we're going to go back to training, and we didn't know when. But this meeting was on a Thursday, and they said, we're going back to training and commence training next Monday. Now, and they nominated the location, and I went, hang on, we haven't even done a safety assessment, risk assessment on the location. For one, the shooting, whether the rifles can be used on that range, for the caliber of bullet we were using. The scenarios we were going to run, we hadn't actually walked through or rehearsed any of the scenario locations for trip hazards or risks and all that sort of stuff. And it was just really random, whereas previously we'd done so much planning and recce's and risk assessments, etc. for everything. Now all of a sudden, no, we're going back to training, we're doing it here. Hang on, that's risky. Really, really risky. And I didn't want to risk, number one, me or my staff, and then the students. It was such a high risk of something going wrong that I went. And me at the time, I was processed, well, I'm the only sergeant that can sign off on whether they're qualified or not. So if I'm not there, they can't run the training, they can't sign the students off. That was my thinking. And I went off and got my diagnosis, and obviously I was caught up in all that. But I found out later on that the courses ran, or at least that one and one other, and there was no sergeant there, and someone signed off on the students. I'm not going to say who.
No, of course not. We don't want to. Yeah.
Because even in the specialist units we were in, because of the risk at some of the jobs, if we happened to make a decision that would injure someone or be a serious injury, and or if we, unfortunately, someone passed away as a result, if that ended up at the coroner's court, the investigation would go all the way back and then see whether we were justified in doing it and our actions, and it would be looked at with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
So we would look at worst case scenario. And that's what I looked at the rifle unit at that point. If any of those students that were signed off by this person were involved in a shooting and took someone's life and that ended up in the coroner's court, oh my God.
How long into the future?
All hell would break loose.
For like how long? Like, you know, let's say that person, that instructor passed, been signed off, but the scenario you just mentioned happens 20 years later. Would it still be a fault of the person who signed off 20 years later?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep. So I'll give you a practical situation. So that person initially was qualified and signed off to be qualified by someone who had no authority to do that. So therefore, their first qualification was void. Should never have been. Even though they might do a requalification later and signed off on that, they shouldn't have even got to that point.
Yeah.
So in 20 years' time, if they're involved in a shooting, what happens is it will be backtracked all the way back to when they were initially trained. What was the course? What was the training protocol, location? What did they do? We even had an assessment sheet. So we knew every day where they were on every component of the rifle. That would be produced as evidence. Oh, who signed this student off as being qualified? Well, it's Your Honour, it's on the bottom of that paper there.
So if this student was listening to this now and heard that, what would they have to do to correct that journey so that doesn't happen in 20 years' time?
Oh.
Just get out of that unit completely and do something different?
No, so that they would probably they would be prohibited from being able to sign a rifle out right now until they went back and did the whole course again and be signed off by someone who was qualified to sign them off as qualified.
So reset, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not an abridged version, the full course, because that was the course they did initially that they need to pass that first one.
Fascinating stuff. Absolutely fascinating. Okay, so
Yep.
I know we are probably coming to the end, but that's not quite the end of the journey for you. Before I ask my three final questions to you, Gav, there is a part of it I think you need to share, but two, people to hear as well. You've left the police force. You're beginning your new journey. I suppose, developing and trying of an understanding of where your purpose lies. You now know your purpose, but I'm guessing you sat there for a while not really understanding what your purpose was. Something quite, I mean, I don't know how you respond to this, if I'm being honest, but when you told me this, I was in complete shock. I assume you might know what I'm referring to. Do you know what I'm referring to? With the money?
Not yet.
with the, if you're allowed to talk about it, you might not want to, I don't know. With the money side of things, you got into...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Are you okay with sharing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Over to you, I guess. I don't know how to bring this in, if I'm being honest, because it was such a shock when you told me, and I asked you the question of how much as well, and obviously that's up to you if you share today as well, but you went into something. What did you get into? Share that bit.
Yeah. There's a bit that leads into that. So the PTSD, the anxiety and depression was I was diagnosed with and given the labels, which I refuse to own labels. Yeah,
define you. Yeah.
So for me, I'll get to the money side of things, but this will lead into it. Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine asked me the other day, "Oh, so it was PTSD that they said you had?" And I went, "No, actually it wasn't." I said, I look at it this way. I experienced some post-traumatic stress. I didn't have a label stuck to my forehead that said, oh, he's got PTSD.
It's not a disease, is it? Yeah.
No. Very different for me to process it. I've gone, nah, I've experienced post-traumatic stress. And I've had some anxiety result and some depression involved in there. Yes. But I didn't have... and that's one thing that helped me actually move on from everything. I refused to play the victim. And I can tell you the day that it happened, I went, no. I'm not playing a victim to be part of a system that needs you to stay a victim to, So So I refuse to stay the victim. But with the eye side of things, I've had multiple surgeries. I nearly lost my eyesight because my eyes swelled up so much that the what do you call it? Optic nerve was getting squashed. So I had to have emergency surgery to relieve the pressure off there. So I've had bone ground away from my skull here to let my eyes, and they're still not right. This isn't the normal me, but hey, I am what I am now.
You're great, Gav. You look great.
Thanks. But that's part of me going, hey, this is the new me. You know, I had double vision for a long time, and that threw me. I've gone from someone who, like, I would pride myself on my qualification, my accuracy with my shooting and all that stuff, to now going, I'm seeing two of everything. But I even went through a process of handling that and gone, all right, I'm seeing two of everything. I'm getting double the value. That's the way I looked at it.
Wow.
Instead of an issue or a problem, I go, okay, I'm seeing double of everything. That's pretty cool. I get double the value of everything.
Yeah, wow.
I'm getting twice as much. So, so in amongst all of my eyes, going through all of that, and having time on my hands, and my decision making was shot to bits. So much so that I went to a supermarket one day to get some food for dinner, etc. Got there, and it was when one of the lockdowns was happening for COVID, and security said, "Oh, we're closing in a couple of minutes." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I didn't bother going in. I stayed at the front. But the simplest of things, like, all right, well, can't get groceries now. What do we get for dinner? Oh, there's a restaurant over there. I'll go get some food from there. I couldn't even process that. I stood on the footpath looking up and down the street going, now what do I do? My brain could not put it together to what to do. So my decision making was shot to bits. That then led into, I made a decision financially that, looking back, I should never have done it, but it was just at the time, it was involved with crypto, and turns out it was a massive scam, and I've lost all my superannuation money. There was another payout from the police force that was involved as well, and pretty much lost everything. So I've beaten myself up over this for quite a while. That was the last straw, and that was the closest I got to not being here when that happened. And that photo I think you've got there is the one that's relevant for this. Is the thing that stopped me from doing it and why I'm still here is a photo of my grandkids.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's them. That stopped me from continuing. I thought, no, they need me around, and I want to see them grow up and do all that. So,
of course,
yeah.
That's beautiful. Tell me if I'm wrong, and you don't have to answer it. But are you able to share how much you lost?
Look, all up, it was $500,000.
Oh.
Yep. Yep. Look, I kind of laugh about it now, and people would go, "Oh, what?" Dude, like, I look at it now as it nearly ended me. But a really good mate of mine who has been through some pretty tough times himself, and he's lost everything twice financially. We were sitting down one day, and he said, "Dude," he said, "it's just money."
Yeah.
He said, "Really is. At the end of the day, it's just money." He said, "You can make it again." He said, "No, you can." And he said, "I have." He said, "You can." So that changed my perception and perspective on that. And I know something I mentioned to you in our pre-chat was, I've lost it. I can't get it back. We're trying something at the moment, but whether that happens, I doubt. But I look at it this way and going, all right, I now know my new purpose. I'm on that path, and I am on the right path, and I'm going to make 10 times that.
Beautiful. Love it. Yeah. Great attitude, which lies beautifully for the 3 final questions, Gav. My three final questions. I ask, what are your future plans? What lies for the future of Gav?
Oh, so much.
Give me a few.
So much. Look, there's a number of different books I'd love to write. One is about the accelerated learning, leadership and high performance. One about resilience, and I may combine them all, I don't know. But there's, I would love to become a keynote speaker at events where it's to do with either first responders, mental health, whatever it may be.
Love that.
And just get that message out there to say, hey, not just that this is my story and I've hit rock bottom, but some practical things that, you can help others. Or if you see someone sort of that not right, so be a keynote somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last one, it reminds me of Richard Branson and Necker Island. I would love to get a resort, either by myself and have my own resort, or with someone where we run fundraising events to help with mental health and suicide prevention.
Love that. That is a great idea. Absolutely fantastic idea. I think they're all great ideas. I think, and it starts off with the public speaking because it leads on nicely to the other things with the books, with what you're doing on the podcast, and obviously into those events as well. I did a speaking event, and it was one of the most. I was shitting myself, but then they couldn't get the mic off me. I just wanted to carry on talking, and I incorporated my journey with some pictures and stuff like that. But really, I hope powerful insights to prevent, but usually is reactive, but I want people to have that foresight so they don't go down that track. And that in mind, Gav, like, what if you could give a piece of advice to anyone that's listening regarding some of those topics that you've mentioned, toxic environments? What piece of advice could you give as a judge? I know you could be here for a long time, but one piece of powerful advice to our viewers today.
It's really, really simple. I'm going to give you two bits, but I'll give you the main one first. It is so simple. And if I had known this right at the start of my, all right, what have I got to do? As you wake up in the morning, before you even open your eyes, as you become conscious, smile. Yeah. Just smile. Don't grab your phone. Don't then open your eyes and grab your phone or whatever. Just smile. It is the most amazing reaction. Most people, when they do it the first few times, smile, but then laugh at themselves because they think it's so ridiculous. But the brain doesn't know what you're smiling at. So a smile to the brain is a smile, and it's a good, positive sensation. And the brain goes, hey, let's start the day with a smile. It is such a simple thing.
Love it. Never thought about that before. That's fantastic.
But then after that, write down, before you get up out of bed, have a pen and paper next to you and write down 3 things you are going to be grateful for the day.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
And then start your day. There's other bits and pieces you could do, but that's the simplest of things that I found I actually responded to really, really well.
Love it. Yeah, I think that's great. And your purpose. I always ask the guests to put their purpose. It's usually pretty clear, and I think it is very, very, I've always got it right. It's always very clear. But I ask the guests, as you know, to put it in a very powerful line. What is your purpose, Gav?
It's to save lives. How many that is? If it's one and that's it, hey, my job's done. But if I can help anyone else and ultimately save lives, that's my new purpose. How I go about doing that is the books and appearing on podcasts, which is why I'm so grateful for being on here. And I've actually just finished writing a program that I'm going to deliver to people. It's like a 10 session program that takes them on a journey of right through to finding the new them and going, all right, let's get on track. So.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Gav, it's been amazing. It's been my honour it's been an honour to have you on the show. I appreciate you coming on part of my journey. If it wasn't for you, the guests and your journeys, this podcast wouldn't exist. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. You've been amazing, and thanks for being vulnerable. And I know there's going to be people out there that can take pieces away from our conversation today and implement it to their life. I really do believe that. So thank you.
No, like I said, I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to be on here and what you're doing and all the people you've had on. There is so much information that people can get so much positive information out of it. And if it's not for them, it might be for someone else.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Gavin, a pleasure. Thank you for being here with me tonight. It's been an absolute honour, Chair, and hopefully we will catch up for some food and dinner and drink sometime. And,
absolutely.
And coffee.
It'd be awesome.
Absolutely. To everybody else, thank you for joining us here tonight with Gavin and myself. It's been an absolute pleasure. Until next week, keep leading your own way. Have a great weekend and make sure you come back for another amazing, inspiring guest next week. Until then, bye for now. Well, here we have it. Gavin Patterson's journey is proof that even when the system fails us, we don't have to fail ourselves. His story reminds us that healing is possible, that purpose can be found in the wreckage, and that speaking up, no matter how hard, is the first step to reclaiming our lives. If this episode resonated with you, please share it. Leave a review. Somebody out there that you know, even if it's not you, will be affected. I guarantee it. You just don't know about it yet. You know, because the more we talk about this, the more lives we save. And if you're in that dark place right now, hear this. You're not alone, and your story isn't over. Thank you for walking this road with us today and all the weeks you've joined in. Until next week, where another amazing guest and inspiring journey gets shared. Have a great week. Keep leading your own way, and we'll see you then. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.